Good evening, everyone. System Chalk here with the 178th episode of Book of Hours, playing as the artist and getting ready to level up Disciplines of the Scar to the 9th level, as well as prepare a new text. Now, I think actually, I can't recall if I already started. Looks like I did. Copperlanth and Fallows. Now, it seems to me like I have at least 1 minute to try and get some memories out of Mrs. Kill. So I'm going to try and take that time. I realize that I may be setting myself up for disappointment with the Bells of Ys, but I think, oh, wonderful! The storm is a big help to us, actually. I've carried a memory like a flambeau safe through the mazes of night. This will complete once dawn has come. Yeah, so I think probably we can get a minute of conversation with Mrs. Kill before I have to lock in the books that I'm going to be reading. So let's give it a shot. So Mrs. Kill has seen more of the world than she usually lets on. Conversations with her yield the occasional surprise. Actually, you know, let's just have one conversation with Mrs. Kill. I think 2 pushes it a little too close to the... It's because of that 10 seconds. I think in this case a second chat would cause me to lose the Newman. Which isn't the end of the world, just it's a little inefficient at a time when I'm trying to get the most. Hey, that was worth it. Alright, there it is, it could be no tizzer. Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but there's scant trace of the continent in her accent. Now, we're going to keep talking. But again, remembering that in this case with Disciplines of the Scar, we need a total of 8 memories. We've now got half of what we needed. So the rest of this is pretty much, it's pretty trivial. The only thing that I would observe would be... So the question might be, do I want to try and keep the old wound at this point? So foresight, revelation, fear, contradiction, bittersweet certainty. So definitely the bittersweet certainty and the contradiction. And for that we'll apply the, I think the Faust and the Whist. Okay. So yeah, revelation and foresight, and that's it. Yeah, so I guess I'll still have to use the old wound. I don't know quite what I think. Oh, sorry, I think I know where I went wrong on this. But I have what I need. So revelation, the Rose of Woznai. And then for foresight, I guess we can afford to use the Fet here. So Bancroft Diaries would be first on the list. Although I seem to remember we read... you know what? It's not complicated. Okay, so just so I can be clear, bittersweet certainty, contradiction, revelation, and the fourth, foresight. So I don't need anything else. I will at some point want to regenerate an old wound, but I'll set that aside. Probably my next goal now is going to be to think about how many how many weaving and not working upgrades I can get. In fact, now might be the time for me to think about that, but... Okay, so 1 minute now. Gonna pick up another, we'll restore the whist. The regret. Okay, so that doesn't help us with either of our targets right now. Doesn't mean I don't have any uses for it, just at the moment I can use that as an input to something else if I need it. Okay, want to be a little careful on this. We can afford the 0.3 though. So we got a satisfaction for the trouble. There it is in Camino Tizzer. Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but there's scant trace of the continent in her accent now. Now this helps me with the upgrades for weaving and not working, so that helps us. Glimmerings, an anonymous prison diary written by a dreamer convicted of oniric irresponsibility and confined to the Kukurbit. Prisoner is plainly terrified and bewildered by their situation, and has been unable to wrangle a coherent explanation out of anyone. But the dreams keep coming, and they keep writing them down. Snow, broken mirrors, half-heard sky music, flowers of white, red, and black, a blood-streaked winter dawn, the most notorious signifiers of oniric risk, fantastically vivid and detailed. No wonder they were locked up. Their final recorded dream is of a worm jewel beneath Brankrug Isle, which they open with a key carved from their finger bone. Deoris Volume 3, in Latin, a 19th century reprint by the indefatigable Nathaniel Darcy Evers of a 14th century Latin translation of a 4th century work. This is usually described as the third volume of Deoris, but Darcy Evers' foreword argues persuasively that it's a substantial reworking by the original author. The Lionsmith makes monsters, the Colonel has his scars, but the Deoris now insists that neither can truly defeat the other, that they must at some level understand these limits in their strategies, and that their enmity is an internal engine of the world. So, contradiction for our trouble. Here's the Rose of Woznai, the heretical teachings of a disgraced offshoot of the Sisterhood of the Knot, that arcane contemplative order that existed in all histories. This was recorded by Woznai and dedicated to Saint Respicius. The offshoot favored by Woznai, the true sisterhood, followed Saint Respicius in pursuing ascension in the name of the door in the eye, the merciless hour of light. Saint Respicius failed, perhaps because the larger sisterhood tracked him down and ritually strangled him, but Woznai outlines steps for those who hope to succeed. Seek in dreams, seek the mansus. The third mark can be achieved only when one has passed the stag door. One must pass the wood. One must rise to the white door. The stag door awaits the light bearer in the sight of Girby. And Bancroft Diaries. Lord Franklin Bancroft was initiated into the arts of the flower maker by the Rose Witch Fiona Ayrshire. He rose to become a society provider of occult services and secret pleasures before his abrupt disappearance in 1790. Bancroft seems to have been a talented adept, but devoted his energies to frustratingly whimsical projects, arranging grape-fetching races between mantis spirits, teaching percussagants to juggle, and conjuring storms of imaginary blossoms for the Rose Witch Ayrshire, who resolutely refused ever to couple with him. Bancroft spends 20 pages bemoaning this last. The mantra here recorded is a high and exacting magic, which can be used to pledge one's spirit to the watchman, beginning an ascent to the house. Bancroft boasts of his ability to recite it when in his cups. He also had it set to music for a performance with fireworks at Vauxhall Gardens. Alright, so we will put this all into Disciplines the Scar now. Just save us any heartbreak later. There's always more to learn. Improve the skill to level 9. Now the next question is going to be, how do I translate this advantage into tangible gains for weaving and not working? So for instance, to get to level 5, I actually just need 3 more memories right now. let's say I set aside a core here, 2 Trist, and a Fet. Already there, we're well on our way. The problem here is that there isn't a huge argument that I can... like, basically, I can't necessarily do much better than just the 1 level up today. So I think what I'm going to do as a precaution, I'm going to go to the Nocturnary. I'm going to get my old wound back. Focus my... whoa. Explore an old wound to awaken the violent resonances within. Now, the Libidic Tincture did actually help in terms of getting the edge memory, so I'm not opposed to making another one. But I'm... I don't think that's the best use of my memories right now. Now, the other thing that I could do, I suppose, if I take a look, so we've got the Satisfaction already, we've got... so it would seem to me we've got Impulse, Storm, and Solace. That could potentially be things that level up Weaving and Not Working. So we've got 3 things that we can potentially get from Mrs. Kill. I think the possibility that I may double up a Satisfaction, I don't think that's a high enough risk right now. I think I'm going to wait to see what I get for other memories. So, the Coprolith Amphalos. What is this? A tufted fossil of silken fiber, big as a child. Something consumed, something was consumed. If we interpret its interweavings, we might understand. The meaning of this object isn't something that one reads, but rather something that one follows, until at last one has passed 3 times around it, and one finds the meaning waiting at one's shoulder. So, 2 Weaving and Not Working. Newman weaving the world. The histories, they say, are braided like hair or tangled like roots. What is the shape of that knot? Funny you should ask. Any librarian can use this to establish a history and complete the game, but the Simmergist and the Cartographer can win a particular victory. So this is a rather helpful one because of its nectar and its moon. So the heart is obviously useful for the weaving and not working, but as far as the specific things that this helps me with, I don't believe I had a higher nectar before. And then having a high moon is nice. I mean, obviously the Wormwood Dream is a higher level, but having something that I can employ a little more regularly, I don't know. I think probably I'll wind up using Weaving the World quite a bit. This will also help me with Nin's Cages. So under Heart, my highest level heart is Quenchings and Quellings, it looks like. Although probably Weaving and Not Working will push it ahead when all is said, push ahead of it when all is said and done. So we'll have 8 when we add the Newman. That'll bring it up to 13. So we're still going to be short in terms of the Mystery Heart. For that we would need to add the core and then something like the Mop or the Kitchen Bowls or something like that. But it's no longer an if in terms of Nin's Cages, as opposed to something like Each Flame is Fuel, which, you know, is going to take probably using the Daidumos or the Ascendant Harmony to read. So just being able to sort of work out, that's kind of one of the reasons why I've been working on these higher level texts lately, is just it's nice to be able to focus the attention on things that will help me with the more difficult texts later on. Okay, this is a tough one, to be honest, because technically Mrs. Kill can get me 2 things that would be helpful for leveling this up. But I also know that I can make the Cheerful Ditty and the Name Day Riddle, or the Cheerful Ditty... Yeah, honestly, the Cheerful Ditty and the Name Day Riddle are probably the most helpful here. I could take the Name Day Riddle overnight, I suppose. I don't know. We're just going to sit on this for a bit. Better now. Okay, another regret. Disciplines of the Scar. To master the boundaries through the determination. The Scar marks wisdom and regrets. One is often born of the other. Audio doesn't seem to be changing like it used to. Lots of regret. Move gingerly while the pain lasts. Okay. I think what I will do here, I'm going to split the difference. So I'm going to take the Fet and make a name day riddle. Actually, this should still work. Conceive a mothy riddle. The hope is still that Mrs. Kill will give us what we need, but I do have sort of the outside option of bringing in the elements of the soul. Right, an afternoon spent profitably reading newspapers for the curious, writing affectionate letters for the lonely, steering farmers through the requirements of the Ministry of Agriculture. So we'll restore this. It's going to take a pretty big change with Mrs. Kill to get me to use that for memory generation, but I'm not opposed to it. Yeah, so I mean this is not a bad example of a case where I'm sort of on the fence now. So if we use if I get lucky, we could potentially get our 6th level here. I would need to dip into things like the Curious Hunch. But we already have the Name Day Riddle on its way, so in this case I think we just stay the course. Now, I mean, this means that I've got like the core, the health, and the tryst just kind of sitting around, so if anything I've sort of overdone it in terms of caution. But I can live with that. We know we get at least 1 back in terms of getting the Newman back. Then Gossip doesn't really help me here. Yeah, I'm not too optimistic about being able to get a level 6 weaving and not working, but it's not impossible, so we'll see what happens. Better now. So I'm not in a rush to go back to the Sweet Bones. Let's see. Alright, there's the Name Day Riddle. A deceptively intricate riddle that might just teach us who we really are. Gervenius Van Loren was notoriously fond of these. And it's another Gossip. Okay, so we will build the rest of the day accordingly. So first of all, we'll take Weaving and Not Working. Take the core. At last, I am something of an authority in this. Improve the skill to level 6. So we can ask sort of what would need to happen. I'll talk with Mrs. Kill. So if we say, okay, let's assume that we have, you know, the best possible turn. what would need to happen for me to be able to get weaving and not working leveled up today? So I've got the core, the health, the tryst, and the whist, so I could use that to generate a bunch of different memories. In fact, one thing I'm going to do is bring back the Copperlinth to... wrong tablet. So that's one of the 6 that I'm going to need. And I guess this is the drawback here, right? Essentially, for this to work out, I'm going to need to use the core, the health, and the whist to generate the memories that I need. Now that's somewhat realistic. So we'll have 4 in total out of these. But I would actually need Mrs. Kill to generate... actually, sorry, I would need 3 memories. So, yeah, sorry, I was thinking of the right way to put this. So, basically, I need to set aside the health. So, between the core and the whist, and of course the one that we just used to get the Newman. So, we've got 3 memories to work with. I would need Mrs. Kill to generate 3 more, when, of course, the window is maybe available for 2. And again, you know, I do have a few elements that I can bring to bear here, right? I've got the Curious Hunch, I've got the Hive's Lament, I have the Enduring Reflection. So I do technically have 3 memories that I can apply towards this. That's also quite a bit that I need to bring back for something that isn't that hard for me to do tomorrow. So I think I'm going to just take the time to give help with letters at the Sweet Bones. And in this case, I don't think I can do anything with the gardens, but maybe we'll get some Blue Crown. I guess alternatively I could go on the moor. You know what, we'll visit the moor actually. I can never remember which of these has heart. Quenchings and Clawings, there we go. Rhyme rims the moon tarns. So again, I might have been a bit of a baby about it. Oh, actually, sorry, I've also got my health here too. Might have been a bit of a baby about it. We may have actually wound up in a situation where the weaving and not working would have turned out. But I don't think it's that important for me to catch up on this. Let me just make sure I've got all my tisanes refilled, because I thought I had a witching tisane that I kept in the kitchen. I know it's a small thing, but... we'll replenish. Skill is now level 6. Its power aspects have also increased. Okay, so we did get a storm from Mrs. Kill. You know, again, you can't predict this stuff. This'll definitely take overnight. There tis and be no tizzer. Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but this can't trace of the continent. In her accent now. So if she winds up giving us another heart memory, that's, you know, you just have to laugh at that. But... I'm reasonably happy with how the day went. What we'll probably do is actually start reading one of these other Newman texts and basically do the same thing that we did today. Alright, something, what is this? A tufted fossil of silken fiber, big as a child. Something consumed and something was consumed. If we interpret its interweavings, we might understand. The meaning of this object isn't something that one reads, but rather something that one follows, until at last one has passed 3 times around it, and one finds the meaning waiting at one's shoulder. The histories, as they say, are braided like hair or tangled like roots. What is the shape of that knot? Funny you should ask. So effectively tomorrow we only need to generate 4 memories relevant to the task. Okay, yeah, so intuition doesn't do much for us. We'll definitely take the time to rest on the storm. And an afternoon spent profitably reading newspapers to the curious, writing affectionate letters for the lonely, steering farmers through the requirements of the Ministry of Agriculture. It's best when it's warm, but it'll keep. Now again, there's a couple things that I haven't done yet, so at some point I would like to handle the pumps. But it's a kind of a matter of making the most of the opportunities that I have, and in this case, I sort of feel like I don't need to worry too much about the pumps, I don't need to worry too much about the secret of the house. Those are going to be things that get resolved on their own. Or not on their own, but they'll be resolved in their own time. They're not immediately important. Whereas finding out what some of the Newmans within the texts are, that's something that will determine whether or not I have an easy time, reading books like this. So, for instance, because of the digression that we went on, we know that we're going to be able to read Nin's Cages without too much trouble. So, as before, we will talk with Mrs. Kill. Mrs. Kill's mood always improves when I drop by. If you don't choose a topic, Mrs. Kill will offer help as a friend. Mrs. Kill stands ready to help. You always cheer me up, she says morosely. Up next, so I don't know what the weather is yet. I'm gonna need to pick I'm gonna need to pick something to level up next. So I'm slightly leaning towards the Shreddick Book of Suns. The alternative would be Pentiments and Precursors. I guess the argument for Pentiments and Precursors is that we got through Weaving and Knotworking really quickly. It's not really competing with anything else. Neither would Sacrosolus Invicti, on the other hand, but like Sacrosolus Invicti is pretty easy to handle. Yeah, so you know what, the more I think about it, the more trying to level up Pentiments and Precursors now I think makes some sense. So for that, we're going to want Scale and Grail. I know we're close to the end. Okay, so the ones that are easy to sacrifice here would be the Metal Fost Shapt Wist, the Arab Health Core. Okay, I have some ideas. So the first thing that we're going to do here is I'm going to queue up the Turquoise Hand. So similar to the last round, we have a bit of runway to... Actually, you know what? No, let's just run ahead. So this is written in Ramsund, chicken scratch. This language has been called Mantique Altir and Linga Aukel, and also the speech of birds in Ramsund and the hazelnut tongue, but it's a language of secrets, and its true name may never be used. The Aviform Hours use it at their roost, or so the story goes. Alright, so we need to provide a bunch of rows. Preliminal meter helps us with that. I mean, technically I could even go for something with less, but let's just stick with what we've got here. So Rose, Journey's End. I can master this mystery, enough rows to match Mystery Rose. Next up, so we've got 2 of the 6 that we require for weaving and knotworking. Again, I can try my chances with Mrs. Kill, but, you know, why take the risk, right? Let's say I can make the... I guess I can use the FET to level up weaving and knotworking. So with that in mind, and looking back on my list for... Sorry, one second. Looking back on my list, we've got the Newman already. We've got the Storm Memory, not the Weather. So Cheerful Ditty, Solace, Satisfaction, and Impulse will do the trick, although it would be nice to avoid some of the things that Mrs. Kill would already give me. So with that in mind, we'll definitely get the cheerful ditty, just because there's no other way for me to get that. So use the Peruvian Diaries for that. I've already mastered this. I could reread it, perhaps recall a memory. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to wait for the weather, because if we wind up with another storm, I don't need to worry about the or gale. Okay, so this helps me again. So we've got a memory of a storm coming in. I completely forgot about the gale. But what I can do here is I can actually use the swaddled thunder to generate a storm as well. So investigate the object. So if memory serve, well, let's not, memory will not serve. So we've got 3 already, and we're working on a 4th. So here we just need 2 more. This is a point where I would say waiting on Mrs. Kill makes some sense. Again, we don't want to get too careless with it. I think we're only going to get 1 conversation with her, but even 1 conversation is enough. And I think we can leave it there, because we're going to need to finish the weaving and not working anyway. Yeah, I think we're going to have to wait for time to pass. So this seems as good of a time to end it as any. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next episode. I can't recall if it's Friday. Actually, you know what? It's important I get this right, because there might be an announcement for this. So if this thing is coming out... Alright, so my understanding is that this episode actually should be coming out on the 20th. So, all things being equal, I should actually be... I should be streaming on the Steam page tomorrow, so Friday the 20... Is it the 21st? I guess it is. But yeah, I should be streaming on the 21st on the Cultist Simulator page to celebrate its anniversary. Well, an anniversary. I'm trying to remember... Was it June that it came out? Anyways. But yeah, there will be a stream that I'm working on. I don't recall if there is an announcement for that now, but at least at this point it'll just be a few hours before it comes on. But if you want to see me live, you can visit the Steam page, and I will be streaming that. I will say it does help the developer, because being able to sort of talk up the game to the audience, being able to talk up the game to the being able to talk up the game to an audience of strangers, having that augmented with an existing audience, one that, you know, just helps bring the numbers up. Basically, that's just kind of a way that Steam winds up being able to give some priority to different games. We might make the top 6 on the front page, in which case just means more people will be able to see the game. And more importantly, I know a lot of you might be coming to Book of Hours not having played Cultist Simulator. So if you happen to like my stuff and want to see what the game that was sort of the start of the Secret History setting, it's a great opportunity to do so live. So I hope to see some of you there. But this is about YouTube, so I will wrap it up. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you in the next one, or possibly live. Take care.